Voice of college football, Joel Klatt stopping by. 44 school records, Colorado Buffalo starting quarterback, and minor league baseball. Couldn't hit the curve. Boom, get rid of him. Nobody can. Actually, nobody.
It's very true.
Nobody can hit the curve.
It's very true.
Except Derek Jeter, maybe, or something.
I tell you, it's people have no idea how rigorous it is. Like, to become a big leaguers are unbelievable. Like, guys go to the NFL all the time. Big leaguers in baseball, that's tough. That is tough what they do.
Okay. I said this Harbaugh stuff I believe in.
Okay.
Because if you look at Jim leaves every job when he kind of feels like, I think I've done as much as I can.
Okay.
Beats Ohio State. Now I got to go back to Columbus and play him. He's not stupid. He looks at Georgia and Bama and is like, those are in talent-rich states. I can't compete. Also, Derek Carr and the Raiders available. Trevor Lawrence, Jacksonville available. What hurt him at the end in San Francisco?
By the way, maybe Denver and a free agent quarterback in Denver.
I think
that could be available.
You think he leaves?
I don't know. Listen, I thought that he was happier this year than he has been at any point in time in which I've covered him at Michigan. And from my standpoint, I think a lot of that had to do with the staff that he hired. Remember, he got a lot younger, hired a lot of new staff, a lot younger. In fact, he was the only one that was over 45 years of age on that staff. He believes in what they're doing, and I don't think he's driven by money, but I do know that he's driven by competition, and he's driven by trying to go out there and take on, I don't want to say a project, but some level of competition that's a little bit different. It interests him, and I won't be shocked, but I would be a little bit surprised if he leaves. And the main reason is because I think his family is settled. I think that he's settled. I think that he found a nice niche. They're recruiting at a high level. But you bring up a good point. Like, do you want to continue to be evaluated against Ohio State when they're recruiting at a higher level?
Yes.
Listen, for the foreseeable future, if Michigan is to beat Ohio State, it will remain an upset.
Yes.
Because of the way that they're recruiting. This is not a knock. That's just the facts of the matter.
Yeah.
So do you want to put yourself in that position if you're Jim Harbaugh? That remains to be seen. I will say this. Regardless, someone is getting a great coach. Obviously, Michigan knows that and what he's been able to do. If he leaves, he will succeed. Mark my words. He will succeed. He has succeeded everywhere that he's been immediately. San Diego, Stanford, San Francisco, and Michigan. Immediately succeeded. So if he does jump, watch out, because wherever he goes, they'll probably start winning right away.
Okay, so Georgia, Alabama, I don't understand. Bama's got the better coach and the significantly better quarterback, and they're underdogs.
I know.
Like, I think Alabama's going to win the game, right?
Well, I mean, it's hard to beat a team twice. And we will say, I think that you can also, while those things are absolutely true, Nick Saban's the greatest coach that we've ever seen in our sport, and Bryce Young is a fabulous player.
Game changer.
Absolutely. Having said that, Georgia has been the better team more consistently this year. We've seen Alabama at times, and I know that they bristle at this when you kind of bring things up, but they did not play well against Florida. They did not play well, obviously, in a loss against Texas A&M. Arkansas. LSU got after them a little bit at times. Auburn should have beat them. All they got to do is just manage the clock at the end, and Auburn wins the Iron Bowl. So those things are also true, and it's very difficult to beat a team twice. If the Georgia that showed up against Michigan shows up against Alabama, I think Georgia wins the game. I think they're better at the defensive line spot, and we saw that in spades against Michigan. And if they can present pressure in Bryce Young's face, then watch out. And I think that Georgia's going to be a little bit more motivated. Remember, they had very little motivation in that SEC championship game. I hate using that excuse, but their future was still ahead of them, regardless of the outcome of that game. And now you're going to get to see what Georgia is fully loaded, fully ready to go. That defensive front seven is as good as any I've seen in a long time. And Bama's going to have their hands full. I am going to side with the smart people in Vegas. I'm picking Georgia in this game. Oh, boy. Jeez. You hate it because of the quarterback thing. And by the way, that's breaking my rule. You always take in a one-game affair. You got 60 minutes. You take the best quarterback, right? Georgia.
All right. So one of this is a mantra I live by, and many of mine are duplicated, copied, and earmarked success for people who follow them.
I thought you were about to say you duplicated or copied them from somebody else, which is fine. It was just fine. Just repurpose them, maybe.
Yeah. Well, maybe I did that. I'm not going to tell you. So money's important, but it can't drive the car. It's got to be a passenger.
Sure.
So Caleb Williams can make more money short-term going to Auburn or Georgia.
Okay.
There's a certain SEC school, I won't name, that is now giving $1 million promise to 5-star recruits. Okay. USC's not going to get into a bidding war. Michigan's not going to get into bidding wars. That's not what they're going to do. Okay. So to me, Caleb Williams, go to Lincoln Riley. It's obvious. Auburn, who's another school, or Georgia, he can get more NIL money. But I'm sorry, Kirby Smart's defense, Brett Venables hired a good OC. I could see him staying there because I like who Oklahoma hired as the OC. I do like that. But Lincoln Riley has a history of walk-ons, baseball players,
no doubt,
bench Jalen Hurts. Like, it's obvious, right?
I think it's obvious, although you have to be able to see past a foot in front of your face, which is hard at times, in particular when you're talking about something that maybe is life-changing, like $1 million or $2 million. And I don't know exactly the figures being thrown out for Caleb Williams. This is wild speculation on my part.
He would get $1 million promised in the NIL and the SEC.
That's around there. I would say probably north of that. I would say maybe closer to 2 because he's more of a proven commodity rather than some high school player. And I don't think USC is going to get in that game in the NIL. However, if I was Caleb Williams, don't you have to look past that immediate sum of money and look at the future of what your potential earnings can be based on where and who you play for? Okay, so look at what Baker's been doing now, career earnings. Kyler Murray, career earnings. What Jalen Hurts is going to be doing, career earnings. Well, that far surpasses some $2 million payday, even if it's a high-end $2 million payday for 2 years at Georgia or Auburn, when they don't have the track record of putting the quarterbacks recently in the National Football League in order to have those big pops of success like you've seen with Baker, like you've seen with Jalen, and like you've seen certainly at Arizona with Kyler Murray. So I think for Caleb Williams, it might not just be about the money that he's about to receive in this NIL cycle as much as it is, where can I go and develop so that I can be the best prospect I can potentially be, maximize my draft value, and potentially get to the second contract in the NFL. Because remember, when Caleb Williams goes to the NFL, they're going to be in the new television deal. And if he can get to a second contract at the quarterback
$300 million or more.
Easy. These contracts that we're about to see for quarterbacks are going to be $50, $60, $65 million annually, because of the rev share model with the 51% to the players in the NFL CBA.
Hey, I only have like a minute and a half left.
Okay.
I am for player mobility, and I am for players transferring. But there's no fence around any of this stuff in college now.
Guardrails. We need guardrails.
There's no guardrails, and all the do-gooders are like, you got to pay players. I'm okay with it, but the NFL has a salary cap.
And it's hard to cap NIL because we don't cap NIL for NFL players. Right? I mean, you can't tell Patrick Mahomes, hey, there's only a certain amount you can make from State Farm. Right? we just don't say that. So it's hard to get into that mold. But the guardrails as far as calendar and roster structure, there's been 3,000 players enter the portal in the last 2 months. That's too many. There's going to be hundreds of college football players that threw away college scholarships and never get them back because of roster mismanagement and the lack of calendar structure and guardrails around the transfer portal.
And we're both for mobility.
Totally.
It's like I said earlier, I love ice cream, not for breakfast. I can love something and simultaneously need guardrails on it a little.
Speak for yourself. I just work out harder and I love donuts. Oh my gosh, I love donuts. Do you love donuts, Joy?
I like donuts, but I do know this as a Joel Klatt fact that you are obsessed with donuts.
Love donuts. There used to be a Krispy Kreme right outside the complex with the San Diego Padres were in Phoenix, right out there, like the 101 in Peoria. You guys know what I'm talking about. And before spring training, there used to be like 30-minute lines. Why? Because a dozen Krispy Kremes goes down like butter.
That's why you couldn't hit the curve. You're sugar high. You were seeing.
It's probably true. I'll take the donuts.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.